I don't want to set the world on fire.
Welcome back, one and all, to another episode of the Foally of Man. Today, we're going to go through Chapter 4. Title is...
Are you looking at me?
Yes, I'm looking at you.
I don't know the name of the chapter. That's your job. I'm the color commentary.
I keep trying to read up with you, so this gives into kind of a little bit of a trifle.
I mean, I know the chapter number, but I don't remember all the titles.
It was funny. Perspective.
Perspective is funny? That's inherently funny to you?
Well, it was the later parts of the chapter can become funny.
So what you're saying is that it's a plant of sorts.
Maybe.
So I've got to point something out. I know this is a little meta for a moment. We have listeners.
Yeah.
There are people that are listening and liking and commenting on this.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Not you, obviously. Yeah. I'm looking at you, so I'm not thanking you. Yeah. Yes. Oh, thank you, Christopher, for your time. Thank you for being here. We certainly do appreciate you dedicating so much time to something that you already love.
Yeah. I mean, it's
But I just want to say, if you're listening, thank you. We appreciate that. And any of your feedback is great, as long as you don't talk about, lesbian horse sex. I think we can just move straight on past. I mean, I have a feeling that'll probably be in the story again, but at least for the time being, it's good conversation. I like seeing some debate going on.
Yeah.
And I don't want to start debate, but there is some very strong opinions about ponies and their abilities to hold guns in their mouths.
Yeah. Again, this is a point that's been rattled on ad infinitum throughout the fandom. My argument is always erring on the side of it literally makes no technological evolutionary sense because it just doesn't work. Like their technology does not facilitate that type of combat.
Which leads me into something. This is one of my little notes here on my buck slip. But I wanted to say this slip. You picked up on it. All right. But I did want to say this is not about the chapter specifically, but I just wanted to say, how are things actually made in this universe? Do unicorns do all of the manual labor? Like the fine labor of like actually putting things together, because there's fine tuning technology in this world. I get that the Earth Ponies have to like work and labor and drag carts and do stuff, but other than holding a screwdriver in their mouths.
It would either be left up to any type of complex machinery similar to a CNC mill.
Right, but something has to make that in the first place.
Well, all you have to do is have a unicorn make it the first
time. Right, I get that. But so basically, all technological progress is controlled by the unicorns in this universe.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do Earth Ponies do other than eat mud? I mean, seriously.
They're the only ones who can farm it.
However, I have found, I'm feeling some inklings here, that there is something below an Earth Pony. And I'm not talking about a mule. What is up with the zebras?
Oh boy. Okay, so
is this a whole episode, or can you at least touch on this?
I could just touch on it a little bit. Because you know what the Chinese are in Fallout 3? Fallout universe?
Yeah, they're the foreign warriors. They're the ones who caused the war.
Zebras.
Gotcha. So zebras are the enemy from the Dark Continent.
Yes.
Interesting. So the Chinese are zebras.
Yes. Better dead than red. Better wiped than striped.
Sorry. All right. Okay. It takes all kinds. Moving on. So chapter 4.
Yep. So in this chapter, she starts out in a factory, in a warehouse factory, similar to what you would see in Fallout 3.
Right. She's reviewing the Fallout survival, the Wasteland survival guide.
Yep. While going through this factory setting, gets holed up in an office up high and is kind of kept. I don't even remember what the name of the actual type of machine is, but I want to call it a Mr. Hoofy because it's like Mr. Handy.
Ooh. Okay.
Yes, it's terrible of me. It'll probably come to me later. I've completely forgotten the name of that kind of robot in universe. But I guess it would actually be more of a Mr. Gutsy, based on his attitude. And she obliterates it with grenades, and then has to get across a catwalk. And she finds that she tries to levitate herself across it. Gets zapped by the robots, escapes, hears a recording. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she goes and finds the people who are crying out for help here. I could be wrong.
I feel like we may be talking about different chapters.
Okay, it's a different chapter.
That was a lovely explanation of things.
Well, no, it's what I'm talking about is a simple vignette. So I mean, it's
right. So what I remember a little bit more is the reflection on saving the ponies from the raiders in the library. That's how the chapter starts off.
Yeah.
And more specifically, questioning whether what's his name, the sprite bot, the Watcher.
Yes,
the Watcher. Yeah, questioning whether the Watcher hid a copy of this book in there specifically to make little Pip go in there and save those. So there's some questioning about whether being
the authenticity of his generosity.
Right. Well, and for the time being, little Pip is questioning, basically to the effect of, well, this thing did save my life, so I should give it the benefit of the doubt, at least for the time being. Just some other things. I mean, the whole chapter kind of builds up to the caravan event.
Yeah.
Right. Does that ring in a bell?
Oh yeah, no, I know that.
Okay.
Again, the radio thing is just a vignette from some sequence in the story that I must have skipped
so
over.
there's an incident with a sprite bot. So the sprite bot Watcher's talking to little Pip, and then the sprite bot goes back to its music, and then the sprite bot gets a message from a southern drawled person talking about basically making Equestria great again.
Yes. But with the coloration even matching, but there'll be more on that character later.
Right. Well, I'm guessing that this is following the president. What's his name from Fallout 3? President Eden.
Yes.
Yeah. The robot ruler of the Enclave. Sorry. Spoiler warning. How many years ago did Fallout 3 come out now?
Was it 2000? I have no idea. 2000. When did I? That would have been 2009.
Okay, I could have sworn it was like 8, something like that.
It was 8-9 because
Skyrim came out in 2011.
Yeah, and I started working somewhere right when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
I started working there in 08. So yeah, no, it was 08.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. So anyway, there was a touch on that, but other than that, I mean, it's just a lot of nondescript fighting. Apparently, we don't care about Velvet Remedy anymore.
It'll come back up. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm sure. But it's just fascinating that the whole purpose of getting out there, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll just be a sociopath and start murdering people and be highly effective at killing people, even though I've never had any experience with a firearm before in my life. But I guess I'm just going to do this now. Yep. Here, these raiders tortured me. Let me put on their armor. That's a good idea. Now let me wander towards other people.
Yeah, not the brightest thing.
Yeah, it's
failed that intelligence roll. I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and it's and we come across. I don't think we hear well, we do get a name right at the end of the chapter, but I can't remember the name of the Pegasus of Calamity's the Pegasus with the double rifles.
Yes,
which doesn't explain how Calamity is firing the rifles.
It goes into detail later.
Okay.
Yes, but it is
so
explained.
Like wing fire.
No. Don't worry about it. It will be explained fully, and
I have to know the mechanics behind it.
It actually makes way more sense than the handguns.
I was gonna say,
mouth guns.
If I was worried about how their lesbian horses would have sex, and I know we've already received some answers on that. I don't need any more information, quite frankly. But I was already focused on that, so I had to be focused on this flying horse firing rifles from the air super accurately.
Yeah.
So. But again, so all right, so obviously we're gonna get back into Velvet Remedy, but I just think there's the thing that's I'm struggling with is that it's really well written, except for the tenuous strings that are holding the story together.
It'll come back.
Little Pip is playing Fallout like I would play Fallout. Oh, what's the main storyline? Screw that! I'm gonna go murder people.
In fact, that's why it appeals.
well, on a certain level, sure, that's got to be how it appeals. But I just think it's a funny. It kind of models how I played Fallout 4 recently. I was like, oh yeah, my kid, whatever. Okay, all right, now I'm gonna go hang out with this android over here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, as far as
are there synthetics in this story?
No.
Doesn't get into it. Well, this kind of preceded Fallout 4, and those synthetics did exist before that. They didn't really get into it much.
Yeah, they don't really get into it here. Now, a question. This is actually the first time, I think, in the storyline that you hear Pip swear. And
yeah, there are some swears, and little Pip even says, or rather, little Pip Squeak, to be specific, states that she had picked up some from the Raiders. Spending time around the Raiders had made her.
Yeah,
pick up some of that language.
those will increase with time, and they get even more colorful. It's kind of hilarious.
I think it's interesting. So I keep forgetting that magic is the thing in this, because there's not magic in the Fallout universe, but there is magic in this universe.
Yes.
So they call the healing remedy a healing potion.
Yeah, because it's a healing potion.
Right, and goes into detail about how it heals, and then the what are the bandages that help heal?
I think it's just magical bandages.
Magical bandages. Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, it's no different than Star Wars talking about the Force and such, but anyway, so I keep being reminded of that. And then today, in the chapter, they spoke specifically about, it's not the core tenets of what it means to be a pony. What do they call them? It's like truth and laughter and...
Yeah, it is your, Great, now I'm losing it. I've had too many beers. That's just what it is. You have to find your purpose in life, Pip.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, purpose. Yeah, and it's the Watcher that's talking to her about that.
Yeah, I know. It goes into some detail with it. I mean, it's not like it's some kind of wordplay later on, so it's not really that.
I was kind of hoping that it would be like a goat sort of a thing.
Well, they already talked about the cat.
That is true.
Yes, they already talked about the cat, the cutie mark aptitude test.
Of course. So, we've got, but that's one of those are two of those things that I've held on to. So, I just keep trying to remind myself that there are these intense, whimsical My Little Pony elements involving magic and such. And so, anyways, what are some of your, surely you've got questions from me. I mean, I thought it was interesting that we talked about what's it called, Sparkle Cola as the replacement for Nuka Cola.
Yeah, the carrot flavored cola.
Well, and isn't there don't they do a quantum version of it as well?
Sparkle Cola Rad.
Rad, right? It's radish flavored. Right. You had mentioned that. They don't mention that in the chapter.
So far. They do mention it later, but it's an aside.
Gotcha.
But no, I think it was rather hilarious that the author went with rad for radish. Yeah. Radiation.
It makes sense. Yeah. And once again, more play on words throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, it's good for that. Was there anything else that really stuck out to you? I know this chapter's a little bit kind of bare basic building.
Yeah, it's a lot of this is the way things are. Oh, the world used to be a different way. How did everything change? Imagine what the people in the stable would think of me now if I saw them. They'd be terrified of my appearance. Taking more damage. But the thing is, the problem with all the healing potions and such is that little Pip can take this intense amount of damage, and it's just like, I'm okay. And I guess that's like the game.
Yeah, it's actually written like it were the game kind of thing. There become not only world elements like this, but they actually come into play with the way the various story elements start working together. It starts feeling like a gameplay kind of experience. Right. Go here, talk to this person, go here, talk to this person, go here, talk to this person kind of thing. It's not bad. And I don't feel it drags on, but it was pointed out that kind of happens a little bit later. But you're writing a story based on a game, and so it's going to kind of follow that rule set.
Right. Well, and it's only longer chapters from here on out. I looked a little bit ahead. It certainly...
Oh yeah, so I don't know.
Stretches out. There's a couple chapters that are like an hour and a half long.
Yeah. There's quite a few. It gets pretty intense.
It's so odd for me because I've read so much Vonnegut, and his chapters are like 2 pages. I mean, a long chapter for him is like 10 pages, and even then, it's not much. So it's just there is a wealth of writing about this. How long did it take to write this story?
I am trying to remember. I see. The problem is I got into it right after it was finished.
I gotcha. So you were kind of on the tail end of it. So you weren't reading it as it was being written, right?
God, that would have killed me. That would have murdered me because I think I consumed this thing in a week and a half.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Also, we did pay attention to some of your comments. We will be including links to KCAT and to the audiobook and those sorts of things in the video. So
Yeah.
We're going to make sure to have that included. That was a really good note, and thank you for the oversight. We just kind of threw these suckers up there, so we just want to make sure we've got coverage. Those who were involved need to be attributed. So absolutely, even though we didn't sample it, we're talking about the source material. And if you like what you're listening to, and here's the deal, I have a feeling that our audience primarily are people who are already associated with the story or already like My Little Pony. But there is the chance that we'll draw some people like myself that had no exposure to it or very limited exposure to it.
Or they may get pointed to us and be like, here, listen to this. What do you think of it?
So at least over time, we'll have links in the bottom that will connect to that. But as for this chapter, I don't have anything to add. It's interesting. Like I said, it's a little tenuous, but enjoyable. It's enjoyable.
There's a lot better world building in the next chapter, and the one following is going to have, if I'm remembering the pacing right, the one following is going to be extremely exciting. So
great. Looking forward to it.
We'll see you all then.
All right. My little pony, my little pony. Blowing up shit 'cause it is fun.